What's up, guys? It's your boy Justin with another game review. Today we're reviewing Spellforce 3 Reforced by Grimlore Games and THQ Nordic. This was published in 2022, but the game was originally released on PC back in 2017. It's a Western RPG / real-time strategy game. According to Wikipedia, this is like the 9th game in the series. As far as I know, there was only like 3 games, but maybe they were including the DLC. So yeah, the story of this game, which is probably the best part of this game, is that well, first off, the game starts off with a prologue where you play as the guy from the trailer, which there was a really cool trailer for this game back in 2017, where the main character was, or the character in the trailer, General Sententia Noria, who was obviously voiced by the Witcher guy. You play as him in the prologue, where it's like at the end of the Mage Wars, where this mage Asamo Tahar created this army of mages who are trying to take over Northander, because the mages are being persecuted, and it follows the end of that war where you save a bunch of people from being executed, and one of them is the playable character, which is your character who you can create, but he can only be human, but you can, or he or she can only be human, but you can play as different races in the different modes, and you can choose your own class, but every class is basically a mix of like a spellcaster or something else, because all of our party members in the game are mages. One guy might have not been a mage. I think there was one. The Lord Marshal might not have been a mage. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, there's like 8 party members in the game. Which the story is, you play as the son of Isamo Tahar, who was basically trained to become a soldier in the Royal Army by General Sententia Noria. And on your first, big mission, you get sent to basically stop a plague from spreading, and had to fight the elves, only to find out that you're not just there to stop the contain the plague, but you're also there to wipe out everybody, all the villagers, to keep the plague from spreading, only for you to choose not to do it, or basically let it happen, and then something happens where. That's the one thing I didn't like about the game, where it doesn't matter certain choices you make in the game. It doesn't. Nothing really matters. It didn't really. There's a point where if you hadn't disobeyed orders, you still would have gotten thrown in jail. Which basically what happens. You get thrown in jail, where you meet a female elf named Yuria, who's about to be executed, which you're about to be executed too, for murder with your friend Bertrand, only for our characters to get saved by the Purity, which is this fanatic group of this religious order who preaches how the evils of mages. So it's like after the Mage Wars, mages are being persecuted like crazy, and it's now outlawed for anybody to use magic unless you're a battle mage for the Royal Army. So what happens is basically our characters get recruited by Rondor Laclane, who is the leader of the Purity, who had a vision that Tahar is going to stop the blood. Well, I think it was called the Bloodburn Plague. Yeah, it was the Bloodburn Plague from spreading. And other stuff happens where you find out where the Bloodburn is related to this ancient civilization called the Shapers, where you meet several people who join your party, like Isgrim, who was my favorite party member until something happened near the end. Who's a dwarf, who's also an archaeologist. You have a druid, orc who joined your team. You have this swordsman, necromancer. You have this guy who can use white magic and black magic. You have a female assassin who's a dreamweaver that joined your team. Like lots of party members, including one guy who was friends with Tahar, but was betrayed by him in the Mage Wars, only for him to later betray his father anyway. So it's like lots of huge cast of characters. This was a very long game for me, even though Warcraft, a lot of people said this game only takes 30 hours to beat. I was doing side quests though, because like I suck at RTSs, so you know if it's an RPG, it's also an RPG, I'm going to try to level up like crazy. And the only way you can do that is by completing quests. Which I did almost every quest in the game, but still did not hit max level. Which I think is level 30, which they don't tell you what level you are. Or I couldn't figure it out. Yeah. So I'm just going to go my likes, dislikes, and then I'll, talk about some stuff I did not like, spoiler stuff. Which, by the way, I should mention this. It's an isometric RPG / RTS where you have there's certain parts in the game where you just control your party members, and it works like any, isometric RPG, like Baldur's Gate or Pillars of Eternity, where you have a wheel where you can use, spells or, boosts or like special items, which you can equip weapons and armor in the game, which, holy crap, I had an armor set that made me look like the fucking Skull Knight from Berserk, man. Sorry, the flipping Skull Knight from Berserk. I'm trying not to swear as much in the video. And there's all in videos anymore. And there's also a helmet that kind of looks like the helmet the guy wears from Blasphemous, if you ever heard of that game. It was like, holy shit, man. Yeah. So I'm just going to my likes, dislikes. I like the story. Great aesthetic. Oh my god, the aesthetic of the game was beautiful. It's basically like a mix of like Camelot meets Lord of the Rings, but dark fantasy. You got cool weapons and armor you can equip. Fun combat. I like the combat. Variety of party members. Good music, and there's multiple play modes. Like you can play multiplayer. You can play a journey mode, which I didn't do yet because I'm too busy. The game is supposed to be only 30 hours. Took me 48 hours to beat this game. Then again, I suck at RTSs, so that could be why. Which there is an easy mode, by the way. So I'm gonna go with my dislikes. Long loading times. And this is a problem that all console RTS games have, which is bad RTS controls. And there's also the thing where if my units, I tell them to go attack something, and if there's a bunch of enemies around, they'll just scatter and attack everybody. Which is so dumb, especially in certain times where I'm just trying to destroy the main... Because you can defeat the enemy's army by destroying their main base, their headquarters, right? Which is usually at the heart of their territory. And a lot of the times, like, I'll tell everybody, hey, attack, use your spells, blah, blah, blah. And they'll just fuck off and attack, like, random enemies, man. Or random buildings. It's like, no, attack the main fucking building so we can win, dumbasses. Oh, my God. There's bad dialogue for side quests. There's only two female party members, right? And they're both redheads. So it's like, what the fuck? And despite the fact that this is a re-release of a game that came out in 2017, and there's been like 3 DLCs that came out, this game only comes with the one DLC. So if you want to play the other two DLCs, you have to buy them, which kind of sucks, man. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm buying especially since I had this game on PC, but like my computer kind of sucks. So it's like I never really played it. I only played like Spellforce 1, which I didn't really like Spellforce 1. This game though I really loved. But yeah, it only comes one DLC and it's the prequel, which I'll play and review that at some point. So yeah, there's also glitches in the game. Like there's the thing where like the back, like I think it's called ray lighting, where like shit just goes like crazy in the background and it's flashing lights, man. Like holy fuck, you could have a seizure if you're what's it called? Whatever, I don't care. Yeah, and there's also a thing where like the models would sometimes like freak out, especially on the one Elven map I was on. And yeah, but aside from that, there was no, unlike with the crappy Battle Chasers game, which I'm gonna maybe at some point I'll go back and review that game. There was no bugs where the game crashed. Thank God for that. So yeah, it's not the glitches aren't too bad. They're not too bad. Okay, now I'm going to go into one thing I really hated about the game that I felt like did make sense is that, you have a certain... what really pissed me off is like there's a point in the game where my favorite party member, which is Isgrim, the dwarf, and there's also some stuff in the game which I probably shouldn't talk about, but there is some modern... it's the thing where despite the fact it's medieval fantasy, they put modern values, modern perspectives, right, which wouldn't really gel with medieval fantasy, things. Especially there was one really dumb line in the game where like where it was straight up very, something I don't even want to say it, but it was very like, yeah, that was very shoehorn and modern stuff, which I'm not going to say because it was very political. I will say this, which I'm not going to repeat it, but yeah, I felt like, wow, that felt really shoehorned in. But basically someone called somebody a fascist, and it's like you're a soldier in the a queendom, in kingdom or whatever. Well, there's technically a queen on the throne. So it's like, does that make sense? I'm not 100% sure. That seems a little hypocritical, but whatever. I don't even think they would have that word back then, which is like, oh my god. Which that really bothered me in Death Dealer, but I'm not reviewing Death Dealer right now. But yeah, I despite that, I did enjoy the game. But yeah, I felt like Isgrim, there's a point in the game where basically someone's the Lord Marshal, who's the husband to the queen, who's basically in charge of the army. His sister gets abducted, brainwashed, and you go to rescue her. So her army can join with our army, so we can take down the main bad guy, who's trying to summon evil god, just like in Baldur's Gate. Only he doesn't know it's the evil god, but whatever. And they have to destroy this Shaper rune. And Isgrim loves the Shapers. And he refuses to destroy the rune. Because he wants to keep it so he can basically brainwash everybody and, create a perfect society. Because apparently that's how the Shapers had their perfect society. So obviously I was like, fuck you. I'm kicking your ass until you agree to destroy the room, which he does, and then he leaves the party. And I was like, good, get the fuck out of here, asshole. I couldn't believe that fucking shit, man. Like, are you fucking serious, man? And he was my favorite party member too. And there's certain things that happens later on, like even in the situation, like all the stuff that's going on, where it doesn't even make sense for him to leave the party. Even if he's a little butthurt where he destroyed the room, he would probably stick around until the end because of certain things I can't say without spoiling it. Which that's technically a spoiler, but whatever. That Isgrim leaves the party. Could leave the party. Maybe there's a way to keep him in the party, which I think there probably is. But yeah. Also, there's a thing in the game where you can craft like legendary armors and weapons, but fuck, that shit's hard to find. You basically have to click on random shit, like random statues and stuff to get the stuff. Which is like, oh my god. Which Isgrim, the only way to upgrade Isgrim's armor is to find quest items. Because he refuses to change his armor. Oh my god. But yeah. So that really annoyed me with Isgrim. Like, oh my god. He was my favorite party member. And I had to kick him out. So, and he was like the one... Because my main party was the orc, the female elf, Yuria, Isgrim, and then obviously my main character. So after he left, I mostly use either the Lord Marshal or the Necromancer guy, who's a pretty cool character. I really enjoyed him. But yes, that was a major thing that I really hated about the game is that like, wow, I had to kick out my favorite party member because he wanted to. Which, by the way, there's a side quest where a dragon wants to kill you because the dragon is afraid you're gonna do the thing that Isgrim wanted to do. So obviously we made the right choice, man. Holy fuck. So yeah, I enjoyed the game, but yeah, it has some major problems, but some minor problems, but it's a great game. 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, the next game review is going to be Star Ocean, the second story R. Which I was supposed to review a game for Christmas. That's not going to happen. Because I'm also, after this game, I'm going to play Dragon Quest Dark Prince. So I'm not going to have time to review the PS5 game I'm going to review. But there's like a long, like, I'll start playing the game on the 23rd. And I'll start playing the PS5 game on the 23rd and then do like an impressions review on Christmas or, day after Christmas. So look forward to that. Peace, guys.